On to yet another big story here on the Right Stand. Months after the Indian High Commission was attacked by K elements in London, a UK report has warned against aggressive, I quote the report, aggressive Khalistan groups for carrying out subversive sectarian activities, and all this under the guise of human rights activism. CNN News 18 has accessed the Bloom Review report by Colin Bloom, who is appointed by the UK government itself, which highlights the rising influence of Khalistanis in the United Kingdom, especially amidst the British community. In this report, he clearly says that Khalistani groups are creating a rift between Sikhs in the UK. The Khalistanis are largely a minority among the Sikh community, but they have taken control of critical establishments and are now trying to push for more control and power. And all this is because they want to gain power in the UK. So what are the findings? Finding number one, the Sikh communities in the United Kingdom face coercion and intimidation from Khalistani elements. Finding number two, this report says that division has been created between British Sikh communities and they have been tagged as an extremist fringe ideology within the pro-Khalistan movement. The report suggests that all this is being done because they want to gain power in the United Kingdom. The fourth finding, or the next finding, is that the report highlights that individuals and organizations are fueling separatist agenda in the minds of youth. Khalistan groups are artificially inflating their influence by lobbying political bodies under the guise of human rights activism. They legitimize dubious positions or tactics by using the Sikh label. The actions of Khalistan groups don't represent Sikh beliefs and instead create a false image of legitimacy. It also notes that territorial claim by K elements for separate Sikh homeland claim does not include the part of Punjab located in Pakistan. There have been cases of individuals being intimidated and threatened by K elements for opposing them. And K entities are fueling anti-India sentiment, which will hamper UK's relationship with India. These are all findings in the report. Joining us now is Colin Bloom, UK faith advisor. He's joining us at this point. Colin, namaste, and thank you very much for your time. You've stated in this, it's taken 3 years of painstaking work, 60,000 words, of which 30,000 had to be culled just to make sure that this report is fit into about roughly around 220 odd pages. But let me ask you, you have spent a lot of time on this issue of Sikh extremism. When you look at interfaith and intrafaith, how big a problem is this in the United Kingdom?
Well, thank you very much for having me on, Sanjay. I would say that the overwhelming sense that we got from the evidence that we spent nearly 3 years getting, we had 21,000 responses to our call for evidence. And we did hundreds of interviews, and you know, as you say, the report is 65,000 words long. There's a lot of detail in it. The overwhelming response is that faith, people of faith and places of worship, and that's people of all faiths, make an overwhelmingly positive contribution to the British society. And that includes, of course, the incredible British Hindu community that we have and the British Sikh community that we have, who make a tremendous contribution. To answer specifically the points that you make about the pro-Khalistan extremists, look, I'm pretty liberal. You know, I think people can campaign for whatever they like, they can believe whatever they like, but what they can't do is intimidate, coerce, threaten, or act in any way violently towards others that disagree with them. And so what we are seeing is a very small but aggressive group of pro-Khalistan extremists that exist within the Sikh community, who are making life very, very difficult for the vast majority of peace-loving, law-abiding, decent Sikhs that we have here in the UK. And this is the first time I think a report like this has come out that has been so explicit in calling for government to respond to the dangers that exist with these extremist individuals.
Colin, hi, my name is Anand. Sanjay Suri is my colleague in the UK who's been in touch with you. I'm based in India.
I'm so...
No, that's perfectly fine. You say Sanjay, you say Anand, it's all the same network. But I just thought I should let you know. He's a good friend. But let me ask you, when you did the deep dive, did you realize that these elements, these Khalistani elements within the Sikh community, are actually also pushing subversive activities against, and also that directly affects the sovereignty of India. You've made observations that could spoil India-UK relationships.
Yes, I'm fully alive to the tensions that you allude to, and of course, my report is very much focused just on what's happening here in the UK. But because the UK is such a diverse community, we have so many different nations that live here, so many different backgrounds, so many different religious communities that live here, and I believe that makes us stronger as a nation. But what it means is that very often controversies or conflicts that perhaps start overseas end up being played out on the streets of the UK. And so that is something that we've got to be very closely aware of, and we've got to make sure that we are doing all we can to bring peace to the streets of the United Kingdom. As far as the groups that are involved in the UK, the pro-Khalistan extremists, I call them pro-Khalistan extremists because, that's what they are. They're using very strong intimidatory tactics. This is not new. They've been at this for many, many years. But I'm pleased to say that the British government, in the last few years, since I've been raising this as an issue, since I've been working on my report, they've begun to take this issue much more seriously, and I'm very pleased to say that the response that we've had to the report so far has been very positive from the government and from our politicians in the UK Parliament.
Reports also suggest that they have political backing, or they are enjoying certain political patronage, or some of these pro-Khalistan extremists have found their way into British politics, active British politics. Is that a worry, and how can that be addressed?
So I do talk about subversive behaviour. We like India, we have a very proud and dynamic democratic system and set of institutions here.
Yes.
And I'm very critical of any organisation that tries to find ways of subverting our democratic institutions by any means other than the ballot box. I have no problem with any group, whether they be, from a Sikh community or Hindu community or Muslim community, any community who wants to campaign for issues and get themselves elected, but do it using the normal democratic means. Do not try and intimidate, don't try and threaten individuals to follow their demands. And I think that's something that we're seeing. So that level of subversion, I do talk about, and there are individuals that have made attempts to do that. Perhaps I say in the report, I had one parliamentarian literally in tears on the phone to me when they were giving evidence, saying that they had felt threatened and abused by these pro-Khalistan extremists, and that this individual begged me to do something about it. And so whilst my report covers lots and lots of other issues, it's a very big document, but I understand why this particular area is sensitive. It's because of the amount of the number of responses that I had and the number of people that contacted me, particularly from within the British Sikh community, who are by far the biggest victims of this kind of extremism, who are urging me to do something about it. I think it's fair to say that there have been other, there's been at least one other report, perhaps in the last 15 years, about this subject. And what was interesting is that every single respondent in that report asked for their name to be redacted for fear of reprisals from within the British Sikh community, from these pro-Khalistan extremists.
My final question, you've made some recommendations. Are you hopeful the government will implement them? And are you hopeful these extremists are nipped in the bud, their activities? Because like you said, you've had interviewers and people who have answered, who said that they borne the brunt of their violence and their aggression. Well,
Anand, I obviously don't think this is a bud. I think this has been going on for many, many years. So nipping it in the bud, I think it's a bit late for that. But I do think we need to address it very, very robustly. This has been a problem that's been going on for. Well, I first raised this as an issue about 15 years ago. Wow. So it's certainly not a new issue. As you would know, it's not a new issue in the UK. Do I think the British government will take it seriously? I can tell you that they are taking it seriously. I've been in numerous meetings over the last few years where I've been revealing and sharing some of the evidence that I've gathered, and I think both the authorities here in the UK and in the Foreign Office and around the world are very alive to the evidence that we've uncovered. And indeed, I suspect or I hope that moves will be made to deal with some of the worst excesses that we have.
We hope so too, because like you've said, by the time the report was commissioned and it was completed, we've had 5 faith ministers, 3 prime ministers, if not more, in the United Kingdom. But if there is a larger interest of British people, if this can be followed and taken through, irrespective of who is at the helm, it'll only augur well for society and humanity largely. Colin, thank you very, very much. Let's hope everybody reads through this, peruses this report. It's very well documented and it covers a gamut of issues.